It's that time of year again. Well, it's been that time of year for a while, but nevertheless, summer is just around the corner, so it's time to go over all the new for 2024 roller coasters in North America. Last year, my list consisted of 12 coasters, and if I had to put a theme to sum them up, I'd call it the year of big ambitions, mostly due to the fact that some of them didn't open at all. This year has a whopping 16 coasters opening in North America alone. Albeit some are small, some of them are going to change the coaster landscape for years to come. My name is Avery, and this is United Coasters. Let's start off with one honorable mention at California's Knott's Berry Farm. This park is expanding its kids-themed Planet Snoopy area with new and renovated attractions. As of now, we only have this concept video, but more will be unveiled as the whole area is set to open this Memorial Day weekend. In addition, they're also getting a Zamperla family coaster named Snoopy's Tinderpaw Twister Coaster, but this short clip is all I can find of it. Starting off at number 16, we have Daddy Pig's roller coaster at the new Peppa Pig theme park in North Richland Hills, Texas. Considering that there's another Peppa Pig theme park with a coaster of the same name in Florida, I think it's safe to say that this is the same Zamperla-made family coaster. That being said, this will be the main attraction, seeing that it's the only operating coaster at the park opening. Going off of what we know from the Florida park, the theming will definitely be a bonus for this park up in Texas. We head over to Santa's Village in Jefferson, New Hampshire for number 15, Midnight Flyer. Replacing Rudy's Rapid Transport, this new Vekoma coaster is themed to riding along Santa's reindeer with the entire family. Other than the color contrast of the deep blue and silver train compared to the vibrant green track, there isn't that much to say about this coaster other than it being a great addition to this park, and a really good scenery piece if it goes through all the trees just like Rudy's Rapid Transport did. Things get more exciting at number 14 with Snoopy's Soapbox Racers at Kings Island in Mason, Ohio. This year, Kings Island is renovating their entire kids area of Planet Snoopy, turning it into Camp Snoopy. This includes one of the first family Vekoma boomerangs coming to the US. Snoopy's Soapbox Racers is set to be the centerpiece for the new area and aims to be a crowd pleaser for families visiting the park this season. Even though the scenery piece of the Firewatch Tower with Peanuts characters is a nice touch, I believe that this coaster is going to be one rank lower than its counterpart coming out this same year. That coaster being number 13, Good Gravy at Holiday World in Santa Claus, Indiana. Although the specs and stats of this new Vekoma family boomerang are nothing to write home about, the scenery is what really captivates me. From my knowledge, this is the first time a coaster is themed after Thanksgiving. As bizarre as that is, Holiday World is looking to place a lot of effort into it, with the cranberry sauce can tunnel and the overall design of the train cars made to resemble that of gravy boats. Along with the theming to the queue line going inside a family house, the park is truly going all out with this idea, and I'm all in for it. I mean, this is an untapped theme that the park is looking to show out and display. I'm just excited to see what Good Gravy will look like when it's done. Let me know what you think about this theme in the comments. Oh, and subscribe while you're there too, it really helps. Looking at number 12, Phoenix Rising is set to be the first family suspended coaster made by B&M in the US, coming to Busch Gardens, Tampa in Florida. This coaster is being built in the same part of land that the Wild Mouse Sand Serpent once stood. There isn't a lot of information and specs as of now, but as I mentioned, this isn't the first time that B&M has made these types of coasters. They've actually built two others in China's Beijing Happy Valley and Shanghai Happy Valley amusement parks, both clones that share the awesome name of Family Inverted Coaster, how original. Going by that, one can infer that Phoenix Rising would also be a clone, but this is more likely a custom model according to the description on Busch Gardens' website. This coaster's top speed is 44 miles per hour. That's 14 miles per hour faster than the China clones. The two things that I can safely say about this coaster is that 1, Busch Gardens will create yet another breathtaking theme around this coaster as it has with just about everything else in this park. And 2, even though this isn't the B&M Giga that enthusiasts wanted, it does help round the park with more options for a family to enjoy. Staying in Florida at number 11, we have Penguin Trek at SeaWorld Orlando. From what I can tell, this looks to be B&M's first ever family launch coaster, with 2 LSM launches topping out at a speed of 43 miles per hour. I guess it doesn't really surprise me considering that the first ever surf coaster was also built at this park. But I have to give props to SeaWorld for having so many first of its kind coasters. Going back to Penguin Trek, the ride will start off indoors with a pre-show, taking you on an adventure through Antarctica aboard ride trains themed to resemble snowmobiles. After you complete the ride, you'll be brought back to the indoor station to see a real penguin habitat and what SeaWorld Orlando is calling the most immersive experience to date. I love the idea of mixing the penguin exhibit with the coaster. This is similar to Manta, where the queue line is surrounded by stingrays and other aquatic life on the way to the ride station. On a whole, with the back-to-back great additions to the coaster lineup in just the last 2 years, it's becoming a challenge to passively skip over SeaWorld Orlando when considering what parks to visit in Florida, especially considering SeaWorld and Busch Gardens are well-rounded dual-purpose parks with animal exhibits and family-friendly rides and coasters. Number 10 is at a park that aims to rival the likes of Universal and Disney. Mattel Adventures Park in Arizona is opening with a double header in both a family coaster and an extreme coaster. Starting off with the former, we have Hot Wheels Bone Shaker, the Ultimate Ride, built by Chance Rides. With a coaster train that's modeled to look like it came right out of the package, this family coaster is set to bring thrills to the entire family. There aren't that many stats for this ride yet, but considering the track layout and the manufacturer, Bone Shaker is looking to give some quality airtime on the off-axis airtime hills placed on top of the main building. Another insight has to be the speed. Bone Shaker uses a booster wheel launch to start, but considering that it is a family coaster, it will most likely have a similar speed to that of Joker's Funhouse coaster at Six Flags Over Georgia. In that case, I'm hoping it aims for that 30 to 40 mile per hour range. This ride starts inside the main building, boosts you out of it, gets you on top of the entire building, and then it ends with a double helix finale into the final breaks. Bone Shaker looks great, but its expectation pales in comparison to the other coaster being built at this park. But that will come later on this list. Moving on to number 9, we go outside of the US for the first and only time on this list to talk about Thunderbolt at P&E Playland in Vancouver, Canada. Although this was a relocated coaster named Senza Fiato from the defunct park Mirarica in Italy, it is, in all intents and purposes, a new coaster. The reason I say that is because the Italian manufacturer Zamperla acquired the Intamin accelerated coaster and underwent a significant overhaul. This included the color, theme, the change of the hydraulic launch to an LSM launch, and most importantly, the change of Intamin trains to Zamperla's new Lightning trains, a train so new that only 2 coasters are using them this year. Since the track layout isn't changing, I think it's safe to say that this will be a crowd pleaser for every thrill seeker coming to the park. Thunderbolt is fast, compact, and looks to be a great addition to P&E Playland, a park who hasn't seen a new coaster in over half a decade. At number 8, we have Fire in the Hole at Silver Dollar City in Branson, Missouri. To say that this coaster/dark ride hybrid was just renovated is an understatement. Not only did Rocky Mountain Construction remake the ride and add new trains, they helped reimagine the story by adding new scenes and making the nearly 3-minute coaster experience more enjoyable. This coaster will retain some of the layout as the original one did with all the dips and turns, but will have expanded scenes and restore some that were even taken out before. When I vacationed in Branson years ago, I didn't have the chance to go to Silver Dollar City, but seeing the amount of work put into this family coaster is just another incentive to visit soon. Altogether, Fire in the Hole will be enclosed in a temperature-controlled 5-story building, making it the biggest indoor roller coaster in all of Heartland America. We go to Six Flags Over Georgia for number 7 with Georgia Surfer. This is yet another first-of-its-kind coaster, the Intamin-created Ultra Surf. It's a basic concept of taking an Intamin surf rider like the Avatar Airbender coaster at Minnesota's Nickelodeon Universe and just going bigger. With water, Georgia Surfer's track looks similar to Aquaman Powerwave at Six Flags Over Texas, but with 2 major differences. The most noticeable is the coaster train. Georgia Surfer uses 2 free-spinning gondolas that focus on both speed and floater airtime. I can't be certain that the spinning will be constant considering that it is weight-based rather than pre-programmed, but I know from personal experience that an unbalanced gondola will have you spinning more. The most important distinction from the similar mock ride's Aquaman is that Georgia Surfer doesn't actually splash its riders. There's a total of 4 different splash effect styles, with 2 of them splashing onlookers, and the designated splash zones parallel to the track. This makes Georgia Surfer primarily focused on airtime and speed rather than the splash gimmick. With the added dual purpose of the splash feature, not only will this ride captivate coaster heads, but it'll also bring a fun experience for onlookers, and also a really good way to fight that summer heat. For number 6, we have We're to Queensbury, New York at Six Flags Great Escape for Bobcat. Not only is this the only wooden coaster on this list, but this family gravity group coaster is the first new coaster in the park since 2005. The Bobcat is replacing the Alpine bobsleds and grants a modern feel to the timeless wooden coaster. This long, overdue new installment to the park is filled with airtime moments, and with a small height restriction, Bobcat will be popular primarily for young thrill seekers. Going by this list in general, you can clearly see how parks in North America are trending towards family coasters. Six Flags looks to be doing the same by adding this family wooden coaster. Observing the layout more, Bobcat looks very similar to that of Timber at Wallaby Roans in France, and just like that coaster, Bobcat is using Timberliner trains, and that lead train is topped with a realistic artwork of a bobcat looking fierce coming out of it. Seeing that this will be the first ground-up coaster since 2003, Bobcat is a much-needed addition to Great Escape's coaster lineup. Now we're going back to Arizona for number 5 with Hot Wheels Twin Wheel Racer. Although we don't have a full track layout at the moment, this Chance Rides created Hyper GTX will turn heads in the coaster world. This is the company's second only Hyper GTX coaster, with the first being the highly praised Lightning Run at Kentucky Kingdom in Louisville. Despite the unknown layout, the elements listed are to take center stage for this coaster. Hot Wheels Twin Wheel Racer will start with a launch going 0 to 50 miles per hour in under 3 seconds, taking you on a total of 4 inversions, 2 corkscrews, and 2 loops, with one loop being 116 feet tall. You'll be riding this coaster in a train inspired by yet another die-cast Hot Wheels car that adds both flair and comfort with its non-restrictive lap bar. I can't wait to see how this ride looks when it's completed, and to ride it if I ever get the chance. From what I know about Chance Rides with this coaster model and how the airtime was the most talked about part, I feel like this is going to be a must ride. I don't want to hype this coaster up too much, but if they do it right, Twin Wheel Racers might be in the top 10 of people's best coasters ever ridden. At number 4, we head northeast to Dorney Park in Allenton, Pennsylvania for Iron Menace. This B&M dive coaster looks to add some more color to Dorney Park's skyline with its sunburnt orange track and exaggerated layout on such a small footprint. This coaster's track length is 300 feet less than Dr. Diabolical's Cliffhanger at my home park in Fiesta, Texas, but has 2 more inversions, and it's those ride elements that really makes me excited for Iron Menace. After the beyond vertical 95-degree drop, you take the inversions in pretty quick succession. What truly excites me is this is B&M's first ever tilted loop on a dive coaster. It just goes to show you that even though dive coasters are becoming more abundant, they are vastly different from each other in either height or elements. Stepping back into the similarity aspect, however, Iron Menace will also be using the 7 across seating like Dr. Diabolical does, which means that seat number 4 will be in line with the middle of the track. With its standout color and the fact that its 0G roll goes over the park's train, Iron Menace looks to be that GP attention-grabbing coaster that Dorney Park needed. Starting the top 3, we head over to Indiana Beach in Monticello, Indiana for our All-American Triple Loop. Now, you may be asking yourself why this 40-year-old coaster is at my top 3 on this list, but it's due to the history of the park and the coaster. I'll make it brief, but in 2020, Indiana Beach was set to close after 94 years of operation. That same year, the park was bought by Gene Staples, owner of IB Parks and Entertainment. With that, the park survived its closure, and in 2024 is adding this classic Schwarzkopf coaster that has lasted the test of time. Along with getting the coaster trains from another triple loop called Mindbender at Edmonton Mall in Canada, All-American Triple Loop's track is fully refurbished and painted with the patriotic colors of red, white, and blue. From its testing POV, this coaster looks good as new, and is ready to be yet another uncommon coaster at this bizarre park. With coasters like Steel Hog and Lost Coaster of Superstition Mountain, All-American Triple Loop fits right inside that lineup. Although, this coaster isn't anything out of the ordinary considering the last 2 on this list, with number 2 being Flash Vertical Velocity at Six Flags Great Adventure in Jackson, New Jersey. This is the first ever Vekoma Super Boomerang model coming to the US, with the other one being opened just a year ago called Cloud Shuttle at Fana Wild Wonderland in Tongshan, China. And Flash Vertical Velocity looks to be a clone of that one. Just by looks, I want to ride this coaster. I mean, the elements are just insane. You start off with a multi-launch that has you reversing up a vertical spike before launching past the station into an Immelman. You then hit a second set of LSM boosters as you climb into a double up straight into a dive, and then rising to a corkscrew that leaves you pointed up into the other vertical spike, just to fall back and do it again in reverse. I can already tell you that this coaster will breathe more nuance into any other Vekoma Boomerang, especially considering that this double up acts as a double down when going backwards, and at the end for the Immelman now acts as a stall. Going off Cloud Shuttle's POVs, Flash Vertical Velocity looks to not only be a standout at Six Flags Great Adventure, but in all the coaster community. It's been widely known in the coaster world that the manufacturer of Vekoma left an infamous mark on the US with its run-of-the-mill cloned boomerang coasters. Now, coasters like this look to be one of Vekoma's entrances back into North America, and I, for one, can't wait. Lastly, we have the most anticipated return of a coaster icon, Top Thrill 2 at Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio. Come on, did you really think anything else would be number 1? After the closure and rumored removals of Top Thrill Dragster, Intamin, along with the help of Zamperla, vastly renovated this coaster into something that's never been seen before, the world's tallest and fastest triple-launch strata coaster. With the use of Zamperla's new lightning trains, riders are swing launched, reversing up a vertical spike before cresting over the 420-foot top hat back into the station. With the swing launch, every rider is graced with a once uncommon rollback that only some enthusiasts had experienced. What has me the most excited is the change of speed on the sets of launches. Every launch gets faster and faster until you reach the top speed of 120 miles per hour, rising up into the top hat, only then to twist inward downhill and into the final brakes. The original Top Thrill Dragster cemented itself in the coaster wars and has a special place in the heart of coaster fans. Now Top Thrill 2 not only looks to expand upon its own legacy, but to transcend what was there before. All in all, 2024 is shaping up to be a better year for coasters and parks, considering that 2023 left a lot on the concept floor. I mean, it even had some parks not even opening. But that just makes me have more reason to visit these parks in the future. If you've gotten this far in the video, please leave a like and subscribe. It does take me a while to find information on these coasters, so we can call it even if you just hit the subscribe button. Also, comment below your most anticipated coaster and let me know if you intend on riding any of these new ones. Lastly, I just want to say thank you for watching, and remember to stay united.